Hey, everybody, welcome to another episode of Necessity versus Commodity. Now, doing something extremely different and interesting today. I've got Ed Reay on here. Him and I have been running the same circles of marketers, copywriters, online business owners for quite a while. I've been following him, he's been following me. We've had messages back and forth, but we've never actually worked together or deep dove into what each other do. But we started some messaging back and forth, and we decided to do a podcast to just us talk about our philosophies of the online space, get to know each other better, and give you guys all a bunch of nuggets if you're an online business owner of how we actually, when we step into an online business, of what we kind of do for people. So, welcome, Ed. I'm super excited to have you. I can't thank you enough. Um, Looking at, we both have taken the road of being a solopreneur.
Mm.
Why did you decide to do that rather than running a big team?
So that's a great question. Um, and for context, for those who don't know me, I have run the marketing and consulted behind dozens of 7 8 figure brands in the high ticket online coaching consulting space. So, like, I see what goes into running a $40 million a year business across different verticals. It's just not for me, man. The late nights, early mornings, no weekends, no evenings, like constant stress and pressure of paying someone else's bills um is not. I realize that's not for me. I thought I would want a team at some point, because I'm gonna be a bajillionaire,
Yep.
uh but I've realized that, and maybe this is a season of my life, maybe it'll change, but because I've just seen so many people, their entire life is in shambles from running a big team, doing these like massive multiple 7 figures, or even 8 figures a month. Um, it's just not worth it. Like, I'd rather like work intimately and deeply with a few clients I really love at a very high price. Or well, to them it's pennies, but for the work that I do, I would get paid well for it.
Yep.
Um, and I get to, work half hour to 3 hours a day. Most of my work is shit posting on Facebook and Twitter. And then people reach out and ask to work with me. And like, I don't have to cold call. I don't have to outbound. I don't have to have a large 100,000 person, and that'll come over time, but I don't have to push and rush for it to churn and generate more leads because I can do very well for myself with a handful of clients every single month, again, pay well.
Yep.
And it's a lot more meaningful too. So
I,
I've found that both the autonomy and the impact that I get to have, because I like to work really deep with people on a one-on-one basis versus, like, let's say, group coaching. I tried that. I made good money, but dude, I was not happy.
yeah.
So that's why.
You and I have the exact same point of view right now. And actually, just the other day, I was talking to a lady, and she had amazing success in corporate, like famous, well-known books, all these type of things. She's getting into the online space, and we had that discussion. I told she asked, why do you do what you do? And I said, well, when I got in the online space, I actually spent 25 years in health and wellness. Moved in the online space, used to help people reverse rheumatoid arthritis naturally. Very That failed drastically for 12 months and spent $100,000+ to fail, but that was the launching board for me to figure out, like, why did it fail? Because strategies, tactics, whether you use funnels, whether you're cold DMing, cold call, there's a lot of ways to make money out there, right? But I realized where I want to be. I was the same way. I don't like doing 8 week courses of modules anymore. I don't like jumping on 2 hour calls with 50 other people and having 5 minutes to try to fix a business issue. I love coaching, and so I love working intimately with my clients one on one as well. We can be really talking about strategy. I can be teaching them the growth aspect of their business. It's so fun doing that. So I'm glad you're on that point as well. The reason why I let off with that question too, it's actually one of the first things I have conversation with a lot of my clients on, because some of them have like goals for a certain business, but when they break down to actually what the business looks like, they come to the same realization that you and I have as well. That, oh my gosh, to hit that $200,000 mark, I'm gonna need to hire 2 more sales professionals. I'm gonna need to hire a sales manager. I'm gonna need to hire this. I'm gonna need to hire that. And all of a sudden, like that's not a business that they want. With the
Yeah.
clients you work with, where are they at in their business? Like you said, you just did a bunch of numbers because I do everything kind of in between from the solopreneurs as well to also people that are running like 10, 15 team members also. So
Yeah.
who are the clients you normally work with?
So I would say majority of my clients are people who run like 7 or 8 figure businesses. And they got teams of anywhere from 5 to 30, 50 people. It's whoever needs help with their marketing.
Yep.
Uh, and then maybe 20% is the freelancer doing like, 10, 20, not freelance, but like the newer person doing 10, 20K a month, who's good at what they do, but they need a bit of help with the marketing and the messaging. And like, that's where I come in, especially organically,
Yep.
because they're not able to articulate their genius super well. And that is something that I'm world class at.
When let's talk about branding and messaging, right?
It's
Like
easy.
you hear it out there so much.
Yeah.
You still see so many people fail. And it's crazy how many online business owners that I see that they think that they have their messaging and branding down.
Mm.
What do you think about branding and messaging? And because I come from a fitness background where I had to learn really quickly that I can take a rock and chuck it in any direction and hit a fitness professional. I need to make sure that I'm standing out. And
Correct.
so a lot of fitness professionals out there, I see they think that they have it down, but we can really look across the board. You could be doing FBA, you could be doing ecom, you could be doing leadership coaching. People think they have it down. So dive in deep to like branding and messaging with how you go through that with a client or what
Yeah.
it truly means to you.
So I love that, dude. There's so much to pick apart here, and if we had the time, I'd be here for 3 hours. Because it's one of my
I
favorite,
agreed.
one
Agreed.
of my favorite topics. Actually, so I'm gonna give you the high level. The high level is, well, first of all, messaging and branding are two very different things. To
Yep.
me, the message is how what you do is different, but the branding is how who you are is different.
Yes.
That's the first thing.
Can we
Second thing.
stop here for a second?
Hmm.
Because, and I know you're going to go deeper, but I want to go deeper. And I think you bring up very unique points because a lot of people don't have that. It's like one in the same.
Yeah.
You're not separating it because people buy because of a benefit.
Yep.
9 out of 10 times, you're the benefit they're buying. That's why like the branding is so key. But
Correct.
having that, what you're talking about is a unique mechanism on top of it.
Correct. Yeah.
And a lot of people don't have those at
Not
all
at all.
anywhere. It's vague as crap. So
Yeah. So
go ahead.
they're I want to touch on that. That's very true. So people don't have a unique mechanism, which to the person who doesn't know what that means, because most people have no clue what this means. We're talking like advanced marketing shit here. That's like I didn't know about this like year 4 or 5 in copywriting. So like I don't expect people to know this. The unique mechanism is the new way for which your client or customer will get the result and the reason why they failed in the past. So the perfect example of a mechanism is muscle confusion from P90X. Everyone knows it. It's like, hey, the reason why you're having a hard time losing weight is because you're not consistently swapping out your workout. I mean, fitness, right? Your
Yep.
workouts, so you have to confuse your muscles. And whether that's true or not only is true, but either way, it's a unique mechanism.
Yep.
I'm not saying you
And
have
to
to
your
switch it up.
point, it's not true,
Yeah, I was gonna say,
right?
so
But it
don't
was the
don't make shit
selling.
up.
It was the selling point. It was huge. It was brilliant.
Yeah, really smart. But like obviously don't make shit up. I don't believe in that. But so if you can't differentiate your offer and by how you do things differently, and everyone who hears that goes, "Oh, I have a 6 week thing." No one gives a fuck about the time length
Agreed.
uh or how much accountability they get. That's the offer. We're talking about the new mechanism of the solution. The solution is
Yes.
the process to get the results, not the container, which is your program.
Yes.
So again, perfect example is fitness, right? Um, your offer would be, I have a 12-week program, we have accountability, we have check-ins. That's not your mechanism. Your mechanism is, hey, there's this hormone in your body called ghrelin, and it, controls, how hungry you are. I think that's right. Is that correct?
Yep, that's correct.
Dude,
Yep,
I'm,
yep, it
dude, I'm
is.
in the wrong industry, bro.
Yeah, you are getting the fitness, brother.
Yeah, man. Dude, I've written for everything, man. And consulted for everything at this point. And the reason why you're having a hard time losing weight is because your body is tricking you into thinking you're hungry because of this hormone. So what we do is when we work with our clients, we actually get their body to shut off this hormone, or like the receptors. I don't know. I'm making shit up right now.
Yep.
So that they actually don't feel the need to eat. So they lose weight, even if they don't like go to the gym. And so
Yep.
and then boom. Anyway, I can go to how I'd market that, but
And so
a new
let's stop there
mechanism.
for a second, because using ghrelin as an example, it is a hormone that triggers your hunger and satiety and all that type of stuff. And a lot of people starve themselves so they don't have that, right? But people don't want to hear about the feature. They don't want the technical stuff,
Yeah.
right? And that was the thing. If we go back to my RA offer, again, 10 years ago, so many people had no idea that you could even think about reversing rheumatoid arthritis naturally. You're told, hey, it's incurable, it's just a
Yeah.
lifetime deal. So I had to, number one, break perceptions and shift them into my mental reality and
Yeah.
my worldview. But then instead of breaking down like the scientific stuff, because you can Google anything online now, of making a unique mechanism, right? Like, hey, here's the feature. You have these issues going on with your hormones. Now, the benefit of what we do is we get your body to reflip it, and you go into that benefit aspect of it. And so now you're putting yourself in a unique position where people don't, you're not sound like everybody else. You're giving them a solution that's completely different. When I talk to a lot of clients, it's like, you're in this niche. Well, how do we make yourself 1 degree over so you completely are differentiate yourself from everybody else?
Yep.
And so many people miss that. So go ahead, what you were saying.
That's pretty much it for, I mean, there's so much
Okay,
more for
cool.
messaging, but in terms of the mechanism, that's what that
Yeah.
is. And
Yes.
so when you can have dialed in, and show that your messaging is different, so you have a new mechanism, and and you're able to hit the pain points correctly, because most pain points and desires, because most people are so off the mark. Like, someone will be like, hey, discover how, uh, I mean, let me think. Discover how you can create self-love, let's say. Like,
Yeah.
I mean, I don't think most people really care about that.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, there's going to be a segment of the audience that, is aware that they want self-love, but really what they want is to get back in a relationship,
Yeah.
and they see the self-love as the mechanism for which they do that, right? So that's messaging. Messaging is being able to use the words that your market uses to describe their problems.
Yeah.
That's that.
Yeah. And there's a lot of way. And, kind of talking about that, I see so many coaches out there that talk about how to be, geared towards men, how to become how to unleash your inner warrior, or females, how to unleash your inner goddess. Like, what does that
Yeah.
mean? That's
Yeah.
nothing unique there, right? Like,
No.
the people you're going to attract are the people that really aren't interested.
Yeah.
They're not
100%.
buyers, right? Like, it's not the
Yeah.
qualified individual, especially in the high ticket space.
So
Um,
wait, sorry, I want to put a pin in
yeah,
that because,
yeah, go ahead.
but so here's the funny thing is, I'm sure you've seen a lot of people who sell those, but they actually sell really, really well. But it's not because of the messaging, it's because of the branding.
Correct. And that's where I was just going to go with it. Yes, 100%. And because they're lots of times they're buying you, they're
Yeah.
and that's the trust and the authority, that there's something unique about you and what your story is, or what you've overcome, that is actually what is selling them. And that's where most people fail, is they get one or the other wrong, or both, but you get both of them right, and you're down like deadly, right?
Easy.
And like, as like an example, like one of my favorite ones, it a pacifier that I saw.
Mm.
And it's called the redneck pass. This person was trying to sell these pacifiers, not making any money, right? It's
Yeah.
a large audience, blah blah. So the front of the pacifier, they made it look like two big buck teeth. They called it the redneck pacifier. Now, their micro script was to guarantee that your child never gets kidnapped. And it
Oh, that's
flew
funny.
off the shelves.
That's
So,
funny.
yeah, and so when you're talking about like the buck teeth, right? Like you're getting a visual that's kind of your branding. The redneck, buck teeth, that's your brand. The micro script, which is there, is kind of like your messaging, helping eliminate. I think it was help eliminate the chance of your child gets kidnapped. And so you put those together, it's funny as crap. People bought them as gay gifts as well. That's why another reason why it sold so well. But you can see how it brings somebody into buy. So
Yeah.
as a business owner, if you have a high ticket offer, really step back and look like, do you sound like everybody else out there?
Mm.
And so if you're working with a client and you're talking about that piece, how often do they actually know that they're off on things?
Never.
They don't. It's crazy. Do you ever have pushbacks on clients when you start talking about the branding and messaging?
Well, so the thing is, clients come to me usually for help with their branding and messaging.
Yep.
It's the only person who gives me pushback is usually the person who's like broken, struggling, who's like either brand new or has been trying for a long time, and they're
Yep.
so attached to the way that they explain it. Like I remember I had this client a long time ago. Um, I don't work with these people anymore at all, or these types of people either. Like they basically use me as their Hail Mary, which I don't do anymore. And I think they're doing like health and wellness coaching for women. And I'm like, oh, okay, so you're health and wellness coaching. Okay, cool. So like, you know, when your clients have testimonials with you, what do they talk about? They go, oh, I lost this amount of weight in this much time. I'm like, oh, okay, cool. So like, so you guys do weight loss coaching? He's like, no, we don't. We do women's health and fitness coaching. I'm like,
Yeah.
no. I mean, okay, that's your branding, fine, but what you actually do is this. He's like, no. And so he struggled to get clients because he's so attached. It's like, it's like a holier than thou. Like, I can't say weight loss. I can't, make weight claims. And within reason, fine. But if you're struggling and your main clients are all losing weight because of what you're doing, and that's what they're the most happy about, why would you not like talk about that,
Yeah.
And you can wrap it up in saying, hey, we help them fix their hormones and do this, and they're able to lose weight because of that. And then make it like a more like background feature, but it still has to be there, right?
Yeah.
Refuse to do that.
I love one thing that you said there. This is off this topic, and we're talking about us being business owners, solopreneurs. But I love how you said I don't work with those type of individuals anymore, and the type that you do. I audit people's funnels and their sales calls and give points of view to people all the time. I do that very regularly. It's multiple hours a week that I'm doing that for people. I'd probably say out of every 10 that I do, there's 4 that I just definitely won't work with
Mm.
because of, like you said, there are certain things that are sticking out, and after I talk to them, they're not going to shift, right? And your point right there, which was a huge nugget, which I hope everybody that's watching this, if you are an online business owner, you're attached to, no, I'm a wellness and I do mindset. I do this differently than other people. No, everyone does mindset. I mean, when I started fitness 20 years ago and I was working with people one-on-one, a lot of the hours were talking up here, not just of what I was doing physically with them. But
Yep.
your whole branding on the wellness stuff isn't a unique proposition. It's not good messaging. And it's also not a good brand point at all as well. So what's the next step of the phase that you work with a client? So you have branding, messaging. What would be next?
Uh, Offers and funnel tweaking. Those are I'd say those are the 3, 4 main things.
Yep.
Um, so if someone has an offer, either they want to make a new, like, so either they're already successful in business, key point, uh, and
Yep.
they want to add another funnel to their art, their their arsenal. They want to have a back end upsell, maybe like a low ticket front end, whatever, some new offer. They would
Yep.
come to me and ask for me to help either give feedback on what they've already made, on what they've already like ideated, or helping them position it correctly, which again goes back to messaging.
Yeah.
Or if they do have an offer, say, hey, this isn't converting well in the sales calls. Assuming the sales team is doing their job, which 99% of the time they're fucking not. But let's pretend that they are for once. Okay,
I
cool.
was a
So
sales guy too for a long time, so watch out
dude,
there.
hey man, nothing but love except for when you blame the quality of lead. Even though
Mhm.
nothing's changed over the past 2 years. You just have a sales slump, bro. It's crazy.
Yep. Yep.
Um, Pro tip for the audience, by the way, anytime the sales team is complaining about quality of lead, it's always the sales team just being upset that they actually have to do their job. Like 99% of the time. It's
I'm
almost
gonna battle
almost
you
never.
on that one.
Go for it.
Um, yes, I technically agree, but like what we just talked about, if your branding and messaging is off,
Sure.
it's one of the reasons why like I do what I do as well, because when people reach out to me, I normally say, hey, send me your funnels, send me your website, send me um some of your assets, and I also want to hear two
Mm,
sales calls. And give me the ones that are non-closes that have your most common objection. And so
mm,
lots of times the most common objections are like, think about it, or don't have the money, right?
yeah.
And so I'll listen to both of those sales calls. I'll review all of their stuff, and I will give an audit that goes back from, okay, so this objection, this scenario came up here, and here is why actually it came up, because the salesperson didn't do their job here, the salesperson didn't do his job here, the salesperson didn't do his job here or here, right? So therefore, you are always going to get a think about it, or you will get a money, because that buyer actually did need to think about it, because they didn't have the right conversation with the sales individual. So it is that guy's fault. Or the money, hey, this sales individual didn't put your product in value in place to have that be a no brainer type of
Mm,
situation. But then when we get to the front of the call and we talk about the way the front of the call came in, I said your marketing right now is also putting this person at a disadvantage completely. So every single call, they can't, it's a harder thing to follow a process. And so now I go through the marketing and say, this is why you're bringing in. And so now if you bring in 10 calls this week, as an example, four of them are in the wrong person, wrong place. Six are right in the perfect place. But each salesperson's not sure where, and it's throwing everything off. So they go
mm.
hand in hand. There's issues on both.
Oh, for sure. So what I'm
Right.
saying is like
I know what you were
if the
saying. I just want
messaging
to make really clear there.
hasn't
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah, so
Yeah.
I agree with you 100%. A
Yeah.
lot of the so if the messaging hasn't changed and then there's no variables on the marketing front and then lead quality dips,
Yeah.
I don't usually believe that. That's
Correct.
what I'm saying.
Yes. And that's why I said I want to battle on that and throw
Yeah.
a little so people understand that, because
Yeah.
the other thing is offer owners, if you're a solopreneur and you were closing well, and all of a sudden 30 days in, or there's a 30-day period there where instead of closing at 30 or 40%, you're closing at 10%. Don't go
Yeah.
mess up things here with the marketing, because everything was
Yeah.
working at that point, right?
Yeah.
Like, hey, you get 100 calls, you close 40%. That's 40 out of 100 people. That doesn't mean consistently one out of every four, right? You're going to have a
Yeah.
slump of like 10, 15 people that it, boom. But that's hard with being in sales sometimes, and say,
It's tough.
being a solopreneur, right? Like, oh my gosh, I haven't brought any money in for 2 weeks. What am I doing? And but realizing, hey, but the other end of that spectrum, it's
Yeah.
crazy how many people. And you said like, hey, I'm not. I don't want to be someone's Hail Mary. I don't want to be someone's savior. And I see way too often where people are 6, 12, even sometimes 2 years into running ads or putting out the same messaging, and they've never consistently closed anything. They've never
Yeah.
consistently been able to scale. And they think that they need sales training or mindset coaching when
Agreed. Yeah. That's all messaging there.
it's it's all the front end piece that needs to be
Yeah. All
fixed.
marketing.
So talking about the funnel piece, I do the same thing, right? And it was again why I said, hey, let's just jump on. Let's like not even know each other, because I think we're probably in alignment with a lot of stuff. I do the same thing. So like one client, we've got a 45-minute webinar. Another one had like a 12-minute VSL. Another client a low entry ticket ascension funnel with a back end, and then try to get them into the high ticket offer. There's a lot of ways of bringing in clients. But if the messaging and branding is off during any of that, it's all going to fall apart and be really inconsistent.
Totally.
What are some of your favorite funnels and why?
Dude, I mean, I mean, for people who know me, my favorite funnel is obvious. It's just Facebook. Just posting on Facebook, man. Um, I love organic. I think it's finally starting to get the love that it deserves. Because most people who like beat their chest about paid ads, which again, there's nothing wrong with paid ads, and I think it's amazing and it's so helpful. But I think their paid ads could go even better if they actually utilize organic stronger. Like there's so many business owners that I work with that are doing
Yes.
like millions every single month on paid ads, but they don't even email their email list, for example. Or like
Yes.
if they do, it's so half-assed, or they have like their VA write it or something. Um, or they never post on Facebook or on Instagram or on like whatever socials or Twitter, right? And it's like, dude, like you're leaving so much money on the table because they're like with paid ads, you're gonna get the person who's like ready to go right now, which is such a small minority of people. But if you have uh, organic in place to nurture, the other 97% of your audience who doesn't buy on day one or day 30, let's say, like you're just leaving so much money on the table and you're just like, and it costs nothing to do organic. It's free. It's like you've
Yeah.
already paid for the lead. You've already paid for the eyeball and the name. Like, why would you not like just go hard on personal brand, developing the relationship? And so to answer your question at face value, my favorite funnel is paid and organic, both
Yes.
together.
I thank you. Yeah, I couldn't agree more. And it's really interesting in the space. As long as you and I have both been, we've seen a lot of progression and things constantly change, right? Like right
Yeah,
now, you're hearing people of, oh my gosh, it's getting so hard to run ads, and it's getting so hard, and it's so expensive. Well, it's, yeah, because you're hiring, you're paying 10, 20, $30,000 to go through an 8-week course and take cut and paste generic branding and messaging, and you to put your branding and messaging, just fill in the gaps.
yeah,
Your branding and messaging wasn't working, and now cut and paste to where you sound like everybody else out there
yeah.
following a cut and paste that 100 other people have gone through that program are doing. How successful your ad's going to be? So is it really the
Yeah.
ads are getting harder, or is it the buyers are becoming more sophisticated? You need to get better at what you do,
Correct.
and
So,
that's very much the conundrum we're in right now.
dude, we're on the same page with this. I call it the one trick pony, and I made a Facebook post about it recently. I did it again last year as well. I know a lot of people who.
That's the one I reached out to you from.
Oh, is that the one?
Yeah. Yep. Yep.
Oh yeah. Well, I'll give a recap for the audience. So a lot of people in our space are one trick ponies where, let's say back in 2017, 2018, webinars were hot. Everyone wanted to be on the webinar. There was no compliance on Facebook or, YouTube or whatever. And FTC wasn't really a concern either. And ads were cheap AF.
Yep.
Anybody and everybody could put up a webinar, make it 3 hours long, make it the classic perfect webinar script where it's 3 hours of sob stories and nothing.
Yep.
And then people will buy.
Yep.
And then people scaled up to 7 figures, 8 figures, whatever it is, off of one webinar funnel. Which is great until it isn't, because these people who hit this overnight success and never really, really failed within reason, they got this massive success, but they don't know why. And
Yes.
so, I noticed starting maybe like 2020, 2021-ish, ads obviously got more expensive, more competitive. The marketplace got more sophisticated. Compliance came into place on Facebook. So you can't say, hey, make 6 figures, or make 10K a month in the next 30 days. I mean, some people do, but they don't stay up for long. So before you say, well, why does that person get to say that, but I can't? Well, it's because it's a matter of time. Put it that way. And these people were one trick ponies, so they're making, say 100K a month in their business, because ad spend has gone up so much, comparatively, the market's more sophisticated, people more skeptical. They went from, they would, revenue be 100K a month, and it used to be 40K a month, 50K a month in profit.
Yeah.
Fantastic. That's great. Nowadays, a lot of the people that have this one trick pony issue is they're doing 100K a month, but now because to be more competitive with the market, they're not having to hire more coaches. They're not having to pay more ad spend, same message, same offer, nothing really changed. And now their take home is 10, 20 before tax a month.
Yeah.
And you're running an entire 100K a month team, you're making 10, 20K a month. And a lot of them have either had to shut down their businesses, go to freelance, go back to being a solopreneur, or just switch industries altogether.
Yeah. And the one trick pony too, I think it's one of the most dangerous things out there that I've seen over the last 10 years.
Yeah.
And the aspect that I see as one of the most dangerous things is an online business owner. They don't know anything. It's their first couple of years in the online space. They finally hire somebody, and they hire somebody to, like, you brought up webinars, right? Like,
Yeah.
it's crazy how I'll see people's webinar ads show up, and I always go and like just read the comments, right? And I constantly see, oh, is this one of those 5 shifts webinars where it doesn't tell you anything, and the 5th shift is hiring a coach, right? Like people have watched so many of these things, and a lot of them have seen it. Just it's the repeat same thing over and over. Like nobody's telling them anything new because the branding and messaging is so off. Some people even hired people, and like it was the worst space for them. They got burned, and now they hate you. And now also there a lot more skepticism on anybody else out there.
Mm.
And why it's so key not to be a one trick pony, because some of the people that I've seen, they hire somebody and they think that that group of people, that's the whole online space. When you're putting the success of your business and your personal life in a cup of water, when the online space is actually a big blue ocean. There's a lot of people out there that have success multiple ways. I love the aspect that you brought up, paid with organic as well, because I'm a big believer when people buy now. Like Tony Robbins can put out a pretty simple webinar and say, hey, $5,000 for this, and people buy because he has decades of credibility to know who he is.
Yep.
You're not Tony Robbins. You need that organic. People go and search for you now.
Mm-hmm.
And you brought up something earlier that I want to kind of bring back in too, because I want to get your philosophy on this. You kind of said, hey, people will book and watch a webinar, but they won't buy immediately. The numbers I normally see is people need somewhere between 7 to 15 touch points before they finally book a call with you, which is why I think organic's so good. Like, what's your philosophy on that? The instant buyer is a lot more difficult, but doing the organic and blending it, why is it important?
So great question. So I mean, I've heard the philosophy of 7 to 15 to 22 touch points or whatever.
Yeah.
I understand the scientific part of it. Like I don't like I'm a words and feelings guy, not a numbers and statistics guy. So I usually go off of the quality of the relationship of the audience because, let's say Scott, like, you and I right now, we hop on the phone and this is one touch point, technically speaking, maybe some Facebook posts of mine or whatever. But within reason, maybe you're not at 22 yet, but if we can have a meaningful conversation here, because you like 3 or 4 touch points. Oh, this guy knows his shit. Okay, cool. I think like my philosophy is when you can show up as a genuine person, which is tough for a lot of people, and you actually can show that you have great insight and nuance into what you do, which is again tough for a lot of people. You shortcut the time to conversion, not because you're trying to. That's the whole thing. Not because you're trying to
Yes.
necessarily, um, but because it's a byproduct of who you are, and people are naturally magnetized to you. So, like, I don't know how many posts you read of mine before you're like, oh man, this guy knows his shit. It could have been 2, 3, 4, could have been 10. I don't know, right? But I don't think of it that way. I just think of, from my perspective, I'm just gonna put my best foot forward and like create content that I think my audience needs to hear, and then it ends up converting people like insane. But I don't try and have like 15 to 20 plus touch points. Like, I don't think about that. But
Yeah.
that's like, and nothing wrong with it, by the way. I think it's great. It's putting science where I think it should be art, or at least a mix.
I absolutely love that you bring that up. Actually, one of the clients I was talking to last week and working through, we were talking about that I've done a bunch of personal assessments, and like one of them is a Gallup assessment, and the very first one
Mm.
is strategic. And somebody has very high level with that. You see patterns and you can fix problems that most people don't even see that are there, which serves me very well with what I do. And then I'm futuristic, and then I'm a visionary, and then a connection person. And so, like the connection and the futuristic, the connection is, hey, everything's kind of connected, and the art aspect of it. And that's also why I love working with clients one on one, because it's not just simple copywriting; it is an art form, and you have to bring out the essence of somebody into that and give it to somebody. And but I'm also a big data guy as well,
Yeah,
and
same.
the 7 to 15 touch points. That's why I wanted to get your point of view on it. I'm glad you went this direction, because I'm I try and think about how many offers I bought from 2,000 up to like $40,000 myself over the
Mm.
last 10 years. How many times, how many funnel I've gone through, booked a call, boom, 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 boom. I've never seen an ad, jumped on a call, and bought immediately.
Oh,
Never once in my life. But I watched, I booked a call because I was in investigation mode.
yep.
Then I followed that person for the next anywhere from a week to like 2 months, and then was like, "Yep, I'm buying." I connected back with that sales guy, said, "Hey, Ed, let's book another call because I think I'm ready to move forward." And then actually have the sales call. And it's one of the discussions when I work with a client of setting up, how do we take that 1 week to 2 months of what takes me to, but because I'm a big believer, I'm not going to sell to anybody the way I don't like being sold to.
Mm.
So how do we take that 1 week to 2 months worth of information gathering I needed and put that before somebody even shows up on a call? It's
Nice.
going to increase your no-show rate. It's going to drop your no-show rate. It's going to increase your ability to close deals a lot better. And that's my
Yeah.
ability from the way that I buy, but also me being a sales guy. And that's why I kind of said earlier of like, hey, sometimes salespeople are put in bad positions as well. So it's not always right.
Totally, totally.
But there is plenty of times that they're not doing their job. Like, we agree with that. But doing that type of stuff is number one going to make your leads way better. It's going to make your sales call way better. It's going to make your pipeline way better. And now, if there are people that if you have pipeline going and they need a few more touch points, you have assets in place, which is why organic is also very important. Because now I can direct them towards organic aspects to help educate them and speed that process up as well.
Totally.
So, when you work with a client, how do you set some of those things up? Do you build those pieces out for them too? Because I like help with lead magnets, groups, other channels, social media, those type of pieces. So when you work with a client, do you go to that back end as well with the organic with them?
Good question. So I can help people strategize, and they're like, hey, like, we're thinking about doing this avenue. What do you think?
Yep.
Or I might go, hey, I think this would be a really good avenue for you. Have you considered that? But really my zone of genius is in tweaking and optimizing things that are already in motion. So I can help you ideate and brainstorm, like,
Yep.
to start off on the best foot, but I'm gonna need to have you go out and do it, test it out, get some data for me, come back, and then we'll look at the data together, and then
Yep.
I'll give you tweaks from there. But like I don't do the like I won't build it out for somebody. My philosophy is very high level guidance of, let's say it's like an email indoctrination sequence, because that's obvious, that's nurturing as well.
Yep.
Say, hey, email one will be about this, two will be about this, three will be about this, four and five will also be about these two things. Here's roughly what I think you could say in each of these things, but I'm not gonna like sit there and write the whole thing for you.
Yeah. A lot of my clients, like I do the same thing as you do. I do put a lot of those pieces together, but with the preface, and this is an expectation I have of my clients when I bring on, hey, yes, I can write you a 10 email sequence.
Mm,
I'm going to put that foundation there. You could cut and paste and put it out there,
yep.
but it is going to be 100 times more effective if you go through and then change it to your wording and add some little pieces, and we can talk about that and kind of shoot me back and forth, that are really key. Because now that if you are organically, do you have a funnel organically that you can send somebody to? I think that's a big mistake. A lot of people out there too, they build funnels just to run ads. The moment they turn off ads, they don't use that funnel anymore. I'm like, that's probably
Yep.
the dumbest thing it doesn't make any sense to me. Like
Well,
how,
didn't you know you're one funnel away, bro? So
yeah,
the more funnels you make, the more close you are to the one that you are away from. So
that's correct. And I think people buy into so much of the marketing, and when they buy into something, again, they don't see the overall value of something that could be built and how to use it properly. And that's where
yep.
so many people really kind of struggle. And like you said, you're one funnel away, or hey, you're one setter or one closer away from, $1 million a month type of scenarios, and you're working 1 hour a day living on a beach, which we all know isn't the case there at all. Um, you brought up something about emails.
Mm,
It blows my mind how many people talk about that again, have people running funnels, and they say don't even email people, because if they don't buy in the first call, if they don't book a call, they never will.
yep.
What's your philosophy on emails?
I love it. Great question. Um, I also love that you're asking me what my philosophy is because some people ask me like, "Oh, what are 3 tips to do better email?" I'm like, I don't fucking know, dude. Like,
Yeah.
just get the basics in and do them. Like that's it. That's it. The rest is philosophy. So I appreciate the way you asked the questions. Um, my philosophy around email is just like organic. It's completely meant to build a relationship over time. And again, just like organic too, which obviously is organic, but like I'm referring to social. And just like social too, it's meant to slowly shift them towards what I call the buying pocket, which is where you're shifting their beliefs and
Yes.
educating them on the opportunity that you have to offer and showing proof and hitting pain points and um basically slowly like imagine like if they're in the if they're in your email list. Imagine they're like on the putting green, and you have the putter. You're just kind of like tapping it in slower and slower and slower and slow. Like slowly until they get in. That's what emails do, and that's what
Yep.
social does as well. But I find
Simple
that emails
analogy.
especially effective too because if you think about it, social's got all this going on, but with email, it's dedicated time, and they're there, and they're gonna like sit there and like read it, and it's more intimate and more focused.
Yep.
And I find that it's more you have more things you can play with in terms of delivering value. If and you also as a aside, you can also handle more sensitive topics because it is private.
Agreed.
Um, so like for example, like if not that I would ever do this lead magnet or this 2-step, but let's suppose that we're gonna do it. Hey, if you're broken, struggling, and in debt, and you need a way out, comment below and I have a training for you. No one's commenting on that. No one wants to publicly admit that. But
Agreed.
if you're going to go in email and say, hey, hit reply or click this link, if you have these things, you're going to have a lot better response. And so I think that's kind of the beauty of email is you can, oh, dude, there's so many cool tricks that I can with email. But the overall philosophy is my belief is that somebody opts in for a reason, and your goal is to be there long enough over a period of time until they're in so much pain. If they don't buy right away, you're gonna be there in the friend zone until they're ready to date again. Like
Yeah.
like this is how I view it. It's really funny. So like especially for people who have call booking funnels or even emails, like I always suggest in your email list, you sell almost right away. If you can,
Agreed.
almost right away. The first 2-3 days, like ASAP, ASAP. Like make offers, make sales. Because those people are in heat, they want to buy
Can I
usually.
can I stop 1 second there real
Go
quick?
for it. Go for it.
Because I agree. And I think a lot of emails should almost always sell. but especially you're bringing up something super important, which is if someone just booked, they're red hot, you're on top of mind. The
Yep.
farther out you go, the less they remember about you.
Yep.
And so one of the things right at the very beginning that I think is a very beautiful philosophy that I love is if you went through my webinar funnel today, you booked or you went through, you didn't book. The email I'm sending out to you within 12 to 24 hours is Ed, you watched my webinar, but I left out this secret that you must know so you can achieve XYZ.
Nice. That's good.
Right. So now it's, hey, you watched everything, but I left something out. Right. It's now it's that intrigue and you get pulled in. You're going to open that email. And
Mm.
I loved your aspect of talking about the email. It again, people just scroll, right? People are like, oh, there's no attention span and people lose shit everywhere. Yeah. When you're on social media, we've been trained to just keep scrolling. Email is an intimate place. We can make that longer form and they're not
Mm.
going to scroll. If it's good, they're going to read it. So now if they open that email and I'm like, hey, you watch my webinar, I discuss these things, but here's the secret aspect that I don't want you to miss. And you could have another little VSL short done or talk about something, or hey, maybe it wasn't the right time, but we can have a deeper conversation with this person when they're still thinking about the pain point you are, to
Mm.
then sell them to book a call with you again.
Yep.
Right. And then again, the second one, but so many of them are just so generic. Hey, the replay is going to be pulled in 24 hours. BS. I know I can go back a week later and pull up the link and it's going. Right. So, what are you actually getting them to open it is really, really key to be able to get them back into that buyer position. Like your beautiful analogy of tap, 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 tap them in closer to the hole. So, yeah. And I know I kind of cut you off there, and I'm trying to remember where I cut
I
you
know
off.
exactly. We're good. We're
Good.
good.
Go ahead, shoot.
So, the way that I view emails, and I love your example there. The way that I view emails and social is literally like dating. Is the exact same thing. It's actually why I'm a big fan of the friend zone. Uh, so but let's say someone opts into your list with email, and let's say they're just in for a lead magnet. On the thank you page, offer the call. In the lead magnet, offer the call, and in the email follow up, offer the call. Right?
Yep.
Let's say first 1 to 3 days, pretty hard pitch it. Maybe even just the first 2 emails, whatever it is.
Yep.
That's like when you go on a date with a girl or with a guy, whoever, whatever your thing is. And then, there's enough interest to go on a date, but then it's like, it doesn't feel right now. This isn't the right person. Maybe things in my life aren't right now. Whatever it is, cool. Let's stay friends. And so you still keep in touch with that person. They see you rocking out on social media. They see you living life, and then they kind of like start to vibe with you a bit more. And like, is that no like and trust and familiarity? And then maybe, hey, I'm having some friends over for dinner. We're gonna have a big party of us. Why don't you come out? It'll be a lot of fun. And that's like a hand raiser in email, which is like, hey, have this free training on how to do X, Y, Z. It's a value give. It's a value give, right? And they go, oh, actually, I like the way that he does this and that, and I like that, he thinks this way. I really resonate with that. And oh wow, I actually didn't realize like he's good looking. He takes care of himself. Oh, okay. And then over time, eventually the stars align and it makes sense, or that prospect is in enough pain to reconsider again dating or booking a call or saying, hey, I'm ready to reach out and try again.
Yeah.
Close.
Yeah.
That's how I see it. And the point is for email to be the nice guy in the friend zone for long enough that you're there when they're ready,
Correct.
but you're not attached to it.
The other good thing about emails too, the things that blow up and get you good results, now you can go use it on social media, right?
Completely.
Because you know that your ideal customer is reacting, and a lot of people miss those type of data points of like, oh my gosh, these 3 emails tanked, these 3 crushed. Well, I'm going to go make 4 pieces of content out of these 3. I'm good, and that's and huge there. I know that we both have a hard stop and only a couple minutes left. I want to
Damn.
say number one, do you want to let? I'm going to ask you, do you want to do a few of these?
I would love to. It'd be a lot of fun.
I would love to too. So let's do that. We'll figure out doing another one in the next week or two. I want to talk about emails a little bit more in the next one. And what I want to talk about is the philosophy, because there are some people that teach just attack, pain. I'm good. I'm glad you're shaking your head, because I think it's absolutely a horrible strategy. And I think it,
Terrible.
again, when you're talking about like being in a friend zone and it's kind of like dating, like
Yep.
if you're just constantly attacking somebody, like that person's going to run from you. Like the
Yep.
desperation, and you're just constantly, you're not helping anything. People don't want that negativity every single day showing up. So I
Yep.
would love to come on and we go deeper into like email and maybe also
Sure.
messaging. We can kind of play around with it. But
Yeah.
I want to give you a second. Is there anything you want to leave, a nugget, piece of advice? I know promoting your email list was a huge thing too. So
Mm,
what we got a couple minutes. Go ahead. Whatever you want to go on.
sure. The thing to leave your audience with for this episode, at least, um, is you need to showcase the parts of your offer and your personality that are what I call your magic. The things that you do best and the things that your audience needs the most and wants the most, and resonates with the most. Because otherwise, if you're just making the same offers as everyone else and you're not talking about your personal life, you're not talking about your life philosophies and your values of who you are as a person, you're going to be stuck in that sea of being like everybody else. That's it. And if you found this helpful, my email list is edreay.com, edreay.com. You can also find me on Facebook and scope me out on there. I also started Twitter, which is a lot of fun too. I kind of shit posting there too. But at the baseline, I'd love to have you join my email list if you like this kind of conversation, where it's deeper philosophies around how to grow your business. Also toss in some esoteric stuff there, here and there too. Can big into that and the energy behind business. Edreay.com.
Beautiful.
Opt in.
Ed, thank you so much, man. I'm really glad we
Scott.
jumped in and did this. This was a really
Me
fun
too.
conversation. Let's do it again very soon. And everybody, yeah, you know where to find Ed, and you know where to find me. So if you guys need help with anything, don't be afraid to reach out, and we'll talk soon.
Amazing. Thank you.